Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Mob Monday, and today we are talking about the Iran nuclear deal.
Ask what you can do for your country.
And always will be the United States of America.
We're going to build the wall.
Tear down this wall.
So last week, Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, and you most likely heard a bunch of stuff like this.
Reimposing the sanctions that were lifted under the JCPOA allows us to better counter the totality of Iran's malign behavior.
This deal was not a good deal. It didn't protect the American people.
And then you heard a bunch of stuff like this.
No matter what the president says, the deal constrains Iran's nuclear program. So how does pulling out of it make you safe while you're trying to deal with all the other things when you have no plan B?
But this is what you actually need to know. In 2015, Iran agreed to a long-term nuclear deal with the US, UK, Russia. In 2015, Iran agreed to a long-term nuclear deal with the US, UK, France, Russia, Germany, and China. So, enriched uranium is used to make nuclear reactor fuel, but it's also used to make nuclear weapons. But all enriched uranium is not created equal. In either case, the most feasible isotope of uranium used for these processes is uranium U-235. So uranium that has been enriched with a concentration of U-235 of 3 or 4%, that's what's used for nuclear reactor fuel. Now, weapons grade uranium, the stuff you need to make nuclear bombs, that has to be enriched with a concentration of U-235 of 90% or above. So in the past, there were two facilities in Iran. Please forgive my pronunciation. You had Natanz and Fordo. Both facilities had the ability to enrich uranium and concentrate the U-235. This means that both facilities, in theory, had the ability to get enough U-235 to that 90% threshold of concentration to be able to make a nuclear bomb. The 2015 nuclear deal changed that. So this is what happened in the deal. Before the deal, Iran had over 20,000 centrifuges that could do this. After the deal, they were limited to just 5,060. Not only that, but the 5,060 that they were limited to were the oldest and least technologically developed centrifuges, meaning that these were the least capable centrifuges when it comes to really doing the complicated stuff like enriching uranium to the 90% threshold and making nuclear weapons. So they went from 20,000 centrifuges to just 5,060 because of the deal. Iran's total stockpile of uranium was also reduced by 98%, leaving them with just 300 kilograms of uranium in the entire country. They were not allowed to exceed this number of 300 kilograms until 2031. And on top of that, none of the uranium that they possessed, none of the 300 kilograms of uranium that they were allowed to keep, was allowed to be enriched above 3.67%, meaning it could be used to still be nuclear reactor fuel. It would not even come close to being weapons grade. This is a point that is getting left out of the debate, and it really shouldn't be. Before 2015, before the deal, most US foreign policy experts, left and right, Democrat and Republican, agreed that based on what was happening in Iran at the time, they had the ability, if they so chose to pursue that route, to possibly make 8 to 10 nuclear bombs. That's why we were so hasty in signing the deal in 2015 and letting Iran reduce their amount with oversight. This was important. Do they still have uranium? Yes. Do they still have the ability to enrich uranium? Yes. But because of the deal, it can't get above 3.67%. They can't have more than 300 kilograms of it, and they reduce the total amount of uranium that they have, and they have less centrifuges. These were all good things. These were all part of the deal. So, what did we give up? Before the deal, there were some pretty heavy sanctions on Iran internationally, and it crippled their economy. They lost about $160 billion, billion with a B, dollars of revenue in the international oil markets because of sanctions placed on Iran. Those sanctions were lifted. They were then allowed to access $100 billion of frozen assets. So when you hear people say, Obama gave Iran $100 billion, not quite. What he really did was unfreeze the money. They had money in various foreign accounts across the world, and it was frozen because of the sanctions. When the sanctions were lifted, Iran was again allowed access to its own money. So they got $100 million that had been frozen, and they were able to rejoin the international markets to start selling oil again. This was a fair trade. This was a fair trade. We got Iran to agree to not enrich uranium above 3.67%, to not have a shit ton of it on deck, and to not have the capability to even make nuclear weapons. The trade-off? You guys can sell oil on the international market again, and you guys can have your money back. It was a fair trade, because what's also being left out in this debate was the oversight. The deal left in place parameters for us and our European allies to go into Iran and double check to make sure everything's okay. There's literally no reason why we should have pulled out of this deal. Now, people that were against the deal can say, well, we can just sanction them again. The problem with that is the UK, France, Germany, China, Russia don't want to sanction Iran. So we'd be sanctioning them all by ourselves. It's way less effective. I don't know why Trump chose to do what he did. This is not a biased review of the deal. It's just facts. You don't have to take my word for it. I will link below to the entire deal. The entire structure of the deal goes over everything. It goes over the sanctions, it goes over the parameters, the commitments that Iran was committed to, it goes over everything. It's on the State Department website, it'll probably never come down. I'm gonna link to it down below. You can read it for yourself. The deal no longer exists anymore, but I'm not just talking shit here. It was a good deal, and it's too bad we pulled out. See you guys tomorrow.